They fined me $250,000 for saving my neighbors' homes. You heard that right. The HOA slapped me with a $250,000 penalty for building a flood control system that kept 32 families dry during the worst storm in years. And that was just the opening shot of a 3-year revenge plan I never saw coming. A plan designed to bankrupt me, humiliate me, and leave my community underwater, literally. My name is Scott Turner. I'm 44, a retired hydraulic engineer who thought moving to Riverside Gardens with my wife Laura would finally give us peace and quiet. Tree-lined streets, pretty houses, a so-called tight-knit community with a homeowner association that, according to the realtor, kept everything well managed. What we actually found was a neighborhood drowning in water every spring when Willow Creek overflowed. Year after year, cars totaled basements, destroyed families evacuated, and the HOA. Their solution was cheerful reminders that flood insurance was our personal responsibility. Translation, not their problem. I couldn't just watch it happen. Engineering is in my bones. I'd spent 20 years designing flood control systems across the Southeast. The problem here was textbook the fix, obvious. I had the money, the skills, and the time. So I built it. $37,000 of my own dollars, permits, pulled county approvals, signed, full environmental assessments filed. Not some DIY pipe dream. Real gates, retention ponds, professional specs. The kind of thing the Army Corps of Engineers would nod at. And when the early winter storm hit, for the first time in decades, Riverside Gardens stayed dry. Neighbors hugged me, kids rode bikes in streets that used to be rivers. The local paper called me community-minded. For 14 days, I was the guy who finally solved the problem no one else cared about. Then came the certified letter. The number 250 Darzan stared back at me, surrounded by official-looking seals and legal codes. My hands shook. Laura dropped her coffee cup when she read it. How the hell does protecting people's homes turn into a financial death sentence? That's when Deborah Lewis showed up at my door. HOA president. Mid-50s, perfect pantsuit, a smile so polished it squeaked. Scott, I'm so sorry the board insists I enforce these violations. My hands are tied. But I caught the flicker behind her eyes when she thought I wasn't looking hatred sharp and personal. That wasn't a neighbor doing her duty. That was someone savoring the moment. Then came the notes. Anonymous envelopes in my mailbox. Deborah's documents are fake. Watch her carefully. You're not alone. The first one made my blood run cold. Who was watching her close enough to know that, and why risk helping me? The game escalated fast. Deborah paraded in an environmental consultant, a woman with the right jargon, the right clipboard, the right ID badge. She inspected my system for hours and declared it a hazard. Another note arrived that night. That consultant is a fraud. Real Dr. Morales lives in Oregon. Someone stole her identity. I checked. The note was right. Then I noticed the dark sedan parked across the street. Same plate, different drivers always pointed at my house. Tinted windows, binoculars. That's not neighborhood watch, that's surveillance. Another note confirmed it. She's monitoring you. Document everything. I started questioning myself. At night, staring at the ceiling, I asked Laura, did I screw up? Should I just take it all down, eat the loss, and get my life back? I felt isolated. Neighbors who'd thanked me weeks earlier now avoided me. And Deborah kept pressing manufacturing fines against anyone who defended me. Garden gnomes labeled visual pollution. Mailboxes suddenly out of compliance. Bird feeders attracting pests. People got scared. They pulled away. I was becoming the neighborhood pariah. That's when Anna Mitchell appeared, HOA secretary, early 30s, nervous, clutching a manila folder like a life raft. She whispered that Deborah had granted herself emergency authority in violation of the bylaws, that she'd seen the minutes herself. She said she wanted to help me. I wanted to believe her, but another note soon warned. Be careful with Anna. She has access, but also an agenda. I didn't know who to trust anymore. The breaking point came at a community meeting Deborah called. 50 people packed into folding chairs while she ran a full-blown PR campaign against me. Projector screens, handouts, fear-mongering slides of dam failures and disaster headlines. She painted me as a reckless cowboy who jeopardized everyone's homes. I sat there, cheeks burning, while whispers rippled through the crowd. Then, during the bathroom break, someone slipped me a note that changed everything. Deborah's real plan: remove your system before hurricane season, let the storm flood the neighborhood, property values crash, developers buy cheap. Deborah gets wash $350K in commissions. Suddenly, the pieces locked into place. This wasn't about rules. It wasn't about safety. It was about money and revenge. I dug into old files that night and froze when I found it a 2020 Environmental Impact Report. My report. My name, my seal. That report had killed a luxury condo project planned for wetlands near Willow Creek. Guess who the listing agent was supposed to be? Deborah Lewis. $85,000 in commission gone because of me. I hadn't thought about it in years. She'd thought about nothing else. This wasn't a neighborhood dispute. This was personal. She'd spent 3 years steering me into her territory, maneuvering me like a chess piece waiting to destroy me. I wanted to walk away. God, I wanted to. But every time I looked at Laura, every time I remembered the neighbors' kids riding bikes in dry streets, I couldn't stomach letting Deborah win. And then Anna dropped the final bombshell. She was the anonymous friend. The woman who'd been slipping me notes, gathering evidence, playing the terrified secretary while secretly recording everything. Why? Because Deborah had destroyed her sister's life the same way. Bankrupted her, forced her out, even tore apart her custody case. Anna had spent 18 months collecting evidence, waiting for the right moment to strike back. The right moment was coming. Hurricane Helena was churning toward us. Deborah forced through a demolition order. My system was torn apart on live TV, Deborah preening for cameras about community safety. I stood there filming with professional gear. Anna had slipped me documenting every self-congratulatory word. When the storm made landfall, all hell broke loose. Wind howled, rain hammered, and within hours, Willow Creek exploded over its banks. I watched from my second floor as water swallowed the streets, surged into basements, and turned driveways into rivers. Panicked neighbors called me sobbing, begging for help. And across town, Meridian's construction site disappeared under 8 feet of water, millions in equipment ruined. Deborah's phone lit up with furious calls from her partners. By evening, Meridian pulled the plug. No project, no payday. Years of planning gone in a single storm. That's when she called me. Her voice shook with real fear. "Scott, please, I'll drop everything. Every fine, every charge. Just help me stop this flooding." I almost laughed. "This is exactly what you wanted, Deborah. Congratulations." Anna released the evidence that night: 67 recordings, bank statements showing bribery. Internal minutes showing fraudulent votes, proof she'd targeted 5 other families with the same tactics. News outlets ran the headline within hours. HOA President orchestrates flood for profit. By morning, 60 neighbors crammed into the community center, furious, dripping wet, ready to tear her down. Deborah sat alone as they voted unanimously to remove her. Her calm mask shattered. She screamed threatened lawsuits, called everyone ungrateful. Phones recorded every second. The tyrant finally unmasked herself in public. That was the end. Investigations opened, lawsuits filed, careers destroyed. Deborah Lewis, who spent 3 years plotting my downfall, collapsed in a single night under the weight of her own greed and spite. And as I watched her storm out of that meeting, face red, hands shaking, I realized something I'll never forget. Sometimes the best revenge is patience, because arrogance always digs its own grave.